Hello, welcome back. I am so happy that you're here. I hope you had a lovely break, but enough of that. Let's get back to business. So we're here to talk about the autumn equinox and Orilium, even though we are currently here on Earth experiencing a heat wave. So it's an interesting dynamic. We're gonna do a lot of manifesting of cooler weather and just embracing the autumn aesthetic a little bit earlier. Because it's nice and cool in Elia. Let's just think about that. I have some very exciting things to share with you. I cannot wait to actually show this stuff to you. There's quite a bit to cover, but I don't anticipate this video being extremely long. I really hope you stay through the entirety of it because there will be information throughout. We're going to go through the prompts, then we're going to talk about the events and the social media and all of that. So, welcome back to Magical Readathon. If you're new here, that must be quite confusing. If you want to join us, you do not need to do a lot of work unless you choose to. Some people do like to go through all of the previous steps on their own time. But if you want to, you can of course just join us. This is at the end of the day just for your reading motivation and for a little bit of fun, but I will link all of the previous videos down below in case you want to get familiarized on what happened. We had creation of the characters, and we had a novice path. We took a sorting quiz, which you can take to know what guild you are in and create your character even if you don't do the prompts for it. Again, entirely up to yourself. We had a mini readathon for gearing up, and then lastly, in April, we had our first full semester. And now we're back for more. We attend a very prestigious arcane magical academy where we are learning very cool magic, basically, with the end goal of having a profession. We have to pass certain subjects to continue on and go into the next years and so forth. So, the main difference between the first semester and the second semester, or the spring equinox and then the autumn equinox, that in spring everything is kind of generic. You have only one prompt per school of magic, aka lesson. If you pass it, then you go into a little bit more detail of that the next semester, which is this semester, and you actually achieve different ranks of it. So, from the previous readathon, that was the newts with acceptable, exceeded expectations, and outstanding, and we're keeping the three-tier system. Acceptable becomes ordinary, exceeded expectation is now qualified, and outstanding is replaced by distinguished. What a distinguished gentleman. So, for example, my character, Devanthea, which is why I'm dressed like this, not just for fun. In fact, it's not very fun. I am positively melting. Go into the cheat that is your career. Mine is Rift Architect, which is handily at the end. You can see the subjects I needed to pass in spring in order to then continue on with them in August. But in August, you'll see little letters next to it indicating which grade I need to pass in order to continue with this profession. I need to be qualified in inscription, I need a distinguished in spells and incantations, as well as qualified in conjuration. Each school of magic will have a list of 3 prompts. It's like unlocking levels. In order to get qualified, you have to get the ordinary first. It's a level system. If you need qualified, you don't just read the qualified prompt, you read ordinary to get to qualified. Which means you have to read 2 books. So generally speaking, autumn is a little bit more challenging for most of the careers. Some of them are the same, so it really depends on what you have picked. I hope this makes sense, but there's also a frequently asked questions file in the G drive if you want to go through a little bit more detail or an easier explanation, I guess, there. So let's get to the prompts. The prompts will be in a syllabus file like the last semester, the same exact way. It's just longer and it has more on it. All the links will be uploaded in the description bar. If you're watching the premiere, it's going to be uploaded right after it. Below is the syllabus to autumn equinox. The semester will commence on the first day of August. Make sure to note which grade is required for your progression. I'm gonna read all of the prompts and comment a little bit more on the ones that are a little bit more complicated, but for most of them, I think they should be somewhat self-explanatory. So let's start with alchemy. For ordinary, the topic of study is basics of poisons, and the prompt is to find a worst books of whatever year list or video online and actually find a book that you think sounds good, because everyone has different opinions, and sometimes the reason someone disliked the book actually might be a reason you will like it. So that is what we're picking. We're picking a poison. For qualified is poison acidic amber. Read an orange book. And for distinguished is poison willowweed. Read a book with one word title. We get to animal studies. For ordinary, study of familiars, a book with a familiar or an animal companion. Qualified is familiars raven. Raven on the cover, or the word raven in the title of the book or the series. For distinguished is familiar's hare, and that is rabbit on the cover or in the title, which seems to be kind of like a trend currently, so I don't suspect it to be too difficult to find. Then we have Art of Illusion, ordinary's blur face, a book you do not know much about, or you have maybe forgotten what the synopsis was. That's majority of the books for me, so that's great. For Q is Minor Illusions, book under 300 pages. D is Cast Deja Vu. Pick a prompt from the last semester, so you can also find the syllabus in the G Drive if you've not printed it out. For astronomy, we actually have the 3 moons of Eldia named here. O for Lilivey, letter L in the title. For Q is Ravensparn, book with archers or rangers, and for Meile is multiple people on the cover. Conjuration, O for the Foundation of Necromancy, so book with necromancy themes. Q is Tales the Bones Tell, bone on the cover or in the title. And D is Raise Dead Theory, reread a favorite. Get it? Raise it from the dead. Demonology. O is Imp Wrangling, and for that you need to read a fantasy. Q is Caro, the Demon of Chaos. Use a random number generator for your TBR books, and then obviously just count on your shelf to see which that falls onto. And for D is Banishing Spells 101, a book that's at risk of being unhauled. Now this one is probably the ickiest, but I'm not talking about the one that you really want to unhaul, but the one that is like suspiciously close to being in that category. And hopefully it will prove worthy of keeping. On to the elemental studies. We have O for Element of Water, start a book with a drink, the easy one. Q, Wind Redirection. So for this, I want you to, close your eyes, point at a random book on your shelves, and then, because it's a redirection, pick one of the books that is touching it from either side, so adjacent to the book that you picked. If you've read both of them, then just repoint. It's a little bit of fun. And for distinguished, it's wave manipulation, which is a C setting. Moving on to the spells and incantations. For O, we have spell recolor. And this one's super fun, I think, because it basically requires us to do what I did in my last book experiment, which you guys seem to really enjoy, which is really great. And now you get to do it too. So put random color generator, color wheel in Google. Adjust it to your liking, spin the wheel, and then you have to find the color that matches to the book cover. For Q is Incantation Echo, and that's to find someone else's TBR and then pick a book that sounds like it intrigues you. And for D, we are learning a hex tongue tie, and the prompt is to annotate the book that you're reading. For some, this is just gonna be normal practice, and for others, it might actually be a first time, which is kind of fun. Turning the page into the other side, we have Artificery. For the O, it's Arcane Engineering, level 1. Book featuring artificial intelligence. For Q, it's Properties of Magical Alloys, foil on the cover. And for D, Artificery False Diagnostics, second chance author. So this is an author that you've read from before, didn't hate it, but didn't love it, or actually disliked it but are willing to give another chance to. For Inscription, we have O, Glyph Recollection, a childhood favorite. Q is Inking Techniques, and for that is to read a graphic novel, comic on manga. And D is Stilling the Mind, to read a cozy read. For lore, we have O, Eldius Regional Anthropology, a book that has the color similar to your country's flag. For Q, it's Myth of Sildoris, which is story featuring a betrayal. And for D is Ancient Caves of Daerun, and that is a desert setting. Moving on to psionics and divination, Time Theory 1, which is story featuring time travel. Q, Time Theory 2, book with the same word in the title as your last read. Whatever it was that you last read, hopefully it has more than one word. Find the book that features the same word in its title. And then D, Introductory Palmistry and Secondhand Book. Perfect for libraries as well, by the way. Restoration, O, Object Restoration, a single object as the focus of the cover. You know the covers that just have a single something, like the middle game with a hand. Was it the Earthling with a hedgehog? Those type of books. Q is Enchanted Scroll Mending, one of the oldest books on your TBR. D, Urgent Battle Care, read a book in 1 or 2 sittings. So probably don't want to pick a very big book for that. And then lastly, Shapeshifting. For O, it's Formation Wings, wings on the cover. For Q, it's Instantaneous Momentary Mimicry, a book released this year. And for D, Arcane Anatomy, word anatomy in the title. So some of these prompts are going to be very easy. Some of these are going to be a little bit more difficult. I tried to make them kind of universal, but it's nearly impossible to obviously adjust to everyone's situation and ability. So if any of these seem too difficult or not doable, please feel free to change it yourself. If you have a certain disability or limitations, then absolutely just swap to something that would work for you better, and that's absolutely valid. As per usual, I will ask for recommendations so other people can also find those. This is going to happen on Twitter. And then in the comments, you can find all of the other people recommending the books for a particular category. I'll probably focus on the ones that are a little bit more specific, like the anatomy in the title, or you know, some trickier ones. So you have that resource as well. And that finishes off our syllabus. And at the end, it says end of syllabus of the autumn equinox. We bid you good luck. Don't be late. Speaking of lateness, as I said, this is to span over the month of August, but if you do have health limitations, mental health limitations, other things that happen that just don't make it possible for you to finish in August, feel free to extend it. I do not want anyone stressing over this. It's a game. We set these goals for motivation, and obviously we aim for it, but if things happen, things happen. The only thing is that the form will close because I want to count the final kind of number on the pages and books read. These are the numbers that we're going to try and beat because that is what we read in April. Fingers crossed, who knows, but it's fun to see if we can. Speaking of forms, we will obviously have the same reading tracker where we're gonna have all of the categories put in. There is a buddy finder again, similarly to last time. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, and I am currently very much blanking, but if there is, the links will be updated at some point in this video before August, and obviously posted on Twitter in the pinned tweet on the 1st of August. The next thing is obviously the quest, the promised quest. These are available to everyone, and the selection is going to be in a separate file called Oh hi, Editing G here. Slight change of plans. At first I wanted to do an adventure board where I put all of the quests on, but they seemed to be super tiny. I couldn't fit anything in there, and I'm going to provide the quest like before separate files on G Drive, and also give you this adventure board so you can customize it and put your quests on it. And this was a brilliant idea by one of my Patreons called Sam, so thank you so much, Sam, and that is our plan now. So these quests, remember, add on to your guild points, and remember that you can use the perks that you receive. I have 2 very exciting new things to share with you, and I don't know where to start. Maybe with let's start with this new project. I am So excited to share this, even though I don't know if you guys will like it. I am personally very proud of this because it took me like 40 hours to do, because it's something that I've never done before and I had to learn a lot of things I just never learned before. Fingers crossed, if all goes well, this is going to be a little series that I do for the readathon, and I thought it would be a perfect addition for, you know, the months that we're reading, and outside if you fancy. And on top of that, I really tried when creating all of this and the files, and when I commissioned the artwork, I really want this to feel tangible and as real as it can. So for that reason, I thought making ambience rooms in the settings of Orilium would be really fun. Little did I know how stressful I would get, because I had no idea what I was doing. One of the hardest videos I've ever worked on. So to start off, we are of course going to be visiting a library. This is not the main library, however. This library is a little bit wonky. It is called the Locked Library because it was locked for a long time and no one could enter it, and it kind of got bored and it kind of got a mind of its own. And by the time the mages could actually get back in, it was a little bit chaotic. Things happen, things don't really make sense, books communicate with one another, sometimes pages just rip out and hang themselves on the walls. There's vines and plants and birds and cats everywhere. It just has life of its own. And when you enter the locked library, the books actually fly to you, so it might not be anything you wanted to read, but it's there and it's insistent that you read it, and usually for a reason. However, time is very funky there, you can really lose track of it, so it's not the one that is ever really busy, because you kind of need to attend classes and you need to, you know, live your life, but it is one that is really fun, full of character, and it's one that we will visit. Camera died, very rude. I am actually so excited for you to experience it. It's a 3-hour long video. I have yet to upload it. Fingers crossed it doesn't take a month. I will release this either at the very beginning of August or on like a 3rd of August or something. At the start of August is what I'm aiming at. But it's all done and ready for you to visit, and I am nervous but very excited, and I hope you guys will enjoy it. And I really hope it adds kind of flavor to our experience. And again, if it does well, I really hope to make this a series and continue to add different places throughout the years. Okay, so that's the very exciting, nerve-wracking announcement number 1. The other one is the bookmarks. If you have participated in the previous readathon version, you will know that we used to have bookmark sets. Ever since I've created Eldia, I kept getting asked if I will be remaking the bookmarks, and I always gave a vague answer because I just never know how my health is gonna go, but I really wanted them for myself. Obviously, I'm not gonna not share them. It's the bookmarks for your guilds, whether a set or separate. This is how they look like. It's kind of hard to show. The photos were very hard to kind of show, but I hope that you can see it in the camera. These are drawn and designed by me, and you'll have your guild sigil and the crest here and the colors in the background as well. You'll have different representative kind of items on the top circle and the bottom one there. So this is the Order of the Crescent. This is House of the Arcane and the Archivist. And obviously, very shiny, very shiny. So they're the foiled ones. And you have the Orilium sign at the back. The next one is another foiled one, which is specifically for questing. We have a book and some illustrations and our goal here. And obviously, it's a questing bookmark. So perfect for those reads that are for the quests. I will say I don't have an overwhelming amount of these because I have no idea what the scope of interest is, and it, you know, it's expensive to make, so I didn't want to overshoot. I know it's quite late in July as well because hell, not gonna get into it. But for the ones that I do have, I'll put a date here for when I'm planning to sell them. I will link my the Moonlight Library shop down below. Some of you will remember that too. It's currently closed, so you're probably not gonna see stuff. maybe, I don't know. As I said, I will likely be selling this as a set, and then this one separate and a couple separate ones in case you just want your own guild. If there is a want for more, I will obviously try and make that happen as well, so don't be too alarmed. There will definitely be a giveaway for a set on Instagram also if you fancy keeping an eye on that. I know that the previous bookmarks were for the specific lessons, and I do hopefully plan on making that, but I'm very happy with these and I hope that you guys will like them as well. There's that. For the things that will happen, I'm not gonna surprise anyone here. We're obviously gonna have some sprints. I'm hoping to host some on the 1st of August. I do have a hospital appointment that they were very vague as to how long it's going to take. I don't know when I'm gonna be back, but hopefully all is fine and I can do a little live stream just to kick it off as well. And of course we're gonna have the 24-hour reading window called All Nighter. I am hoping to do that on the 20th to 21st. The time will be set later on, but we're obviously going to try and do some sprints then. If you remember our a little D&D-ish session with AJ and Logan, and Slippy obviously, by a popular request we are bringing that back. I'm so excited. So that's gonna be part of the sprints, and I will link that down below if you missed it as well and if you want some shenanigans. We still have the quizzes where the points are allocated to your guilds. Last time the House of the Arcane smashed it and really won by a lot, so we'll see if any other guild can contend that. And again, for socials, we are mainly on Twitter for Magical Readathon, and on Discord again, everything's linked down below. Am I forgetting something? Likely. And the second week of August is going to also be our Instagram photo challenge. The prompts are right here, and I will also post them on Instagram sometime soon too. All of the files will be in the G Drive for those who have visual impairments or have difficulties reading the fonts that I use. And all the texts are also in the transcripts folder if that's easier. Again, there's a frequently asked document as well, and I probably will keep adding things if questions keep popping up, but there's also a separate chat on Discord for ongoing questions if you have any like that are specific and not answered in that file. If you fancy even more sprints, there's always obviously my Patreon if you want. I actually really want to thank my patrons as always, not only for all the support that they provide me in various ways, but for like being such good hype people. There were some points that were really quite difficult because I just felt like I was too deep and I did not know how to continue, and they always just provide me that like little extra, yeah, you can do it, it's fine, this is very exciting, and it was very needed, so thank you very, very much. I think that is everything. I hope you guys are excited. I cannot wait to see your TBRs. I can't wait to hang out with you. Thank you so much for joining in. Hope you're also excited, and I will see you in Orilium. Bye!